Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Hook the Line and another college basketball game preview. This week just keeps going and going. Tuesday, obviously, Michigan State and Duke, and then, or no, not Duke, Michigan State and Kentucky, and then Duke and Kansas. And then we're moving into Wednesday. We've got Arizona, number 4 in the country, taking on the UConn Huskies, currently sitting at number 3 in the country. This is actually one of my final four matchups. So this is going to be one of the most electric college basketball games we're going to get in the coming weeks. Obviously, we have the tournaments coming up here in a little bit, but this is a good teaser for some of those. You get Arizona going on the road, so they're going to play at UConn for this game, which is going to make a difference. But Arizona, one of the best resumes in the country currently, taking down the defending national champs Florida early in the season, and then just the other night, taking down a good UCLA team. Let me hear your thoughts about this one.
Yeah, this is definitely my matchup of the week. These are two high-level programs at the moment. In the past, Tommy Lloyd, Dan Hurley, obviously great coaches. But in terms of where this stands, a lot of similar faces for these teams. The ones to highlight that are newer, obviously Koa Pete for Arizona, slam dunk freshman. Really the centerpiece of their team, but they got guys around them in Bradley, Awaka, Del Orso, right? So this is going to be a great team, and regardless of who wins and loses this game, like both these teams are going to win plenty of games and are going to be probably most likely in the tournament. Um, Moving over to UConn, like they're returning most of their guys. Terrace Reed, obviously, Caravan's back for however many years, but um,
Ball.
I think the addition of Demery really solidifies the starting lineup and gives them a lot of weapons, right? Not only offensively but defensively. They can defend, they can shoot, right? Both these teams are really good shooting teams. Actually, worth noting. I think they're both right around 40% beyond the arc, which is really good. Definitely things you want to see early in the year. Um, Rebounding, they're also both above average, but I think the discrepancy here is the ability to limit turnovers. I think Arizona hasn't done a great job of that. They're actually below average in terms of limiting turnovers, right? So that if they're able to limit turnovers in a road environment, right, that makes this game really tight for me. But once again, if UConn's able to deploy the starting lineup defensively and get steals, get blocks, um, get out in transition and score that way. I don't know if they're able to get in front of this UConn team. So should be a good game to watch. Spread and all that stuff isn't out yet. Maybe we should get into that. What do you think?
Yeah, let's we can go ahead and make one. So if you want to make one, you can right now, or we can save it to the end of the video.
Yeah, we'll agree upon one. Let me hear your thoughts on the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a stellar matchup. I mean, just based on the fact that I have this in my final four, I expect these two teams to be very, very good by the end of the season. They already are very good, and they both already have very good wins. UConn just be a BYU team that, maybe some people might think is overrated, but even still, they have one of the best players in the country, AJ DeBansta. Now they're going against a little bit different because Arizona is star-studded around the board, but they're much more of a good team, I'd say, rather than individually just having a main star. Obviously, Koa Pete in that Florida game took it over and did that, but then we saw a completely different game against UCLA where Del Orso came off the bench and had 20 points. So Arizona, the fact that they've shown that different people can step up on different nights, that's always a big thing in college basketball. You need to have different people because on any night, somebody can go cold shooting the ball. On any night, a defense can zone in on your star player. And if you have depth like Arizona does, you're going to fare very well. Now, the problem comes in to the fact that you're playing at UConn in a road environment. UConn only cares about basketball. Their football team is non-existent. They wait for this time of the year every year. They have arguably, probably as much as we don't want to say it, the best coach in college basketball, Dan Hurley. Just finds a way to put together rosters that work for his style of basketball. And I think you hit the nail on the head. We talked a little bit off podcast about this. Demery is kind of that key that is going to help unlock them this year. I mean, 21 points. He played phenomenally in their last game against BYU. But even still, just the athleticism he gives them, the leadership in that backcourt to be able to play the way he does is going to be huge. And then Caravan, just a consistent scorer, a run stopper, talk about it all the time. He's that kind of guy for them, just to consistently, when you're struggling, when you're going through a scoring drought, you need points on the board. Caravan's going to get it for you. Arizona, I feel like as much as they have won already, I'm not sure they have that exact run stopper. Now, you could say Jaden Bradley, you could say Koa Pete. I think Jaden Bradley is a great closer of the game when you have a little bit of a lead. We talked a little bit about this a couple episodes ago. Just he can close out the game and he can get to the free throw line. He can attack the rim. But just a guy that's consistently going to go ahead and you give him the rock, you clear it out. You're like, all right, go get us 2 points, go get us 3 points. Arizona may find it a little bit difficult to get that if they're struggling on the road and UConn starts to go on a run. And Dan Hurley's going to bring the energy. He's going to be fired up on the sideline. So I think this one's going to be interesting from start to finish. I'm probably going to give a little bit of the lean to UConn. I think anytime in a matchup like this, especially in college basketball, you're going to give the lean to the home team. But the fact that Arizona's already played probably what will end up by the season, two top 15 teams in Florida and UCLA, and one of them was on the road that they did win in UCLA, I think gives them a little bit of experience to hang in there. So I've got this one pretty much a toss up 50-50, but it's going to be fireworks regardless.
No, yeah, it should be a good one. Um, it'll be interesting to see how Bradley does against those guards because they are pretty good defenders in Solo and Silas. So if I were to write a spread, I'd probably put it at like 3.5 UConn, something like that. A short one that
Yeah.
obviously is going to favor the home team because that's usually what happens in these games early on.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was thinking anywhere from 3 to 4. I mean, it's just like when you see college football spreads, if two teams are neck and neck and they're playing at home, it's normally going to be a field goal spread. This is probably going to be a one possession game coming down to the wire. The one thing I will say is if Solo Ball can get his shooting form back, he didn't play that well the other night against BYU, had 8 points, I think, shot like 1 for 5 from three something. If he can make shots this UConn team, I think, will be able to win this game even by 7, 8 to up to 10 points. Um, so I think, Demery, solo ball, those are some big keys. The big men are kind of consistently going to do their thing. Big men, it's a little bit easier. You don't have to rely on outside shooting. It's just about attack the basket, get to the rim, and make your free throws. So we'll see how it turns out. Toby Awaka, Del Orso, like we talked about, coming off the bench for Arizona, are going to have to be huge in this game because I could see Dan Hurley getting Arizona into foul trouble with either some of their freshmen that they've gotten there or just some of their big men. Koa Pete got into foul trouble against UCLA. I don't know if you saw it. So he had 7 points in that game, but he ended up with 4 fouls and only ended up playing about 21 minutes just because of that. And that's actually what allowed UCLA to build back into the game. So I think Dan Hurley will see that, probably use that, try to get him in some early foul trouble as well. And if they do, they're really going to need some people off the bench. So depth is going to be a big thing, but we're going to learn a lot about these two teams and how deep they can go in March come this weekend. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, definitely one we'll be coming back to when we're looking at bracket talk and Final Four. So this is already a preview of yours. So hopefully maybe we end up being right when we circle back later
Oh
in
yeah.
2026.
Yeah, we'll see. So I mean, if we're just gonna say the spread's at 3.5, I think if we're sticking to that number, I'm gonna go UConn to cover that. Very close, but I'm gonna take them to cover that spread if that was the spread that was given. Obviously, we don't know what it is, but that would be my pick. What do you got?
Yeah, I'll probably go with you there. Um, in no way, shape, or form do I see this spread coming out at over 5 points. So even if it was, I'd probably lean UConn still. I just think that being in stores, technically we're on the other side of the country for Arizona, right? They still got to travel pretty far to make this trip and play in a hostile environment against a good team. So I'll lean UConn, but once again, like I said, it's not like don't get too focused on the results this early in the season. Just try to play your best, embrace the tough road test, and build from it.
Yeah. Now here's my question is if Arizona is to win this game and barring all the other results, if we just pretend that they don't happen, where we currently stand, you would think they probably have to put Arizona either one or two. Do you think they that Arizona has the ability to go to one if they go on the road and beat UConn? Because I think it's a hard argument to not be able to put them in there, even with how Purdue's played.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough conversation for them to um, put them above Purdue, even though Purdue, I mean, I would say had a pretty, similar win on the road in a pretty tough environment after that team went and beat St. John's on the road, right? So I think that if they do win this, they should definitely be two. Maybe my little bias says they shouldn't be one just because Purdue. Um, but I mean, it's still gonna not really gonna matter much because next week's really important for every team in college basketball. So maybe the whole rankings will look completely different a week from today or 2 weeks from today.
Oh, they definitely will. It's going to shake some things up for sure. Some people will bounce way up there in the rankings. Some people are going to drop. I'm just excited for it all. So tomorrow should be a fun day. This is definitely the game I'm looking forward to most.
Game of the week, yes,
Yep.
sir.
Let's see it. All right.